Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
First of all, I would like to address my great appreciation to Ibu Tini, who's been willing to invite me and then to have a session with you. And this is a great opportunity for me. I want to use the moment to practice with you because I am also learning. Okay, so each of us is a learner, and then that's why learning is endless. Okay, if you find it difficult to understand, you can just let me know. I will be speaking very slow. So today I will be speaking about my personal interpretation and understanding about Kurikulum Merdeka Belajar, right? And then I will be very happy if you can share your experience, your understanding. You can just write it in the chat box, okay? And then I'll see it. So if you have any questions, if you have any issues, do not worry to write it. Yeah, in case you are shy enough, in case you are reluctant enough to express your questions. Okay. So we won't have a lot of slides. I'm just gonna have a page, right? And then from this page, we can expand it to a larger context and see how we understand the curriculum. So let me share screen. That's that one. All right. And I'm just to, enlarge. If you want to say make it big, you can also say enlarge, and the verb is enlarge, right? Yes, I want to make it big, so I want to enlarge. All right. So let's just have this, a passage or a page of a summary of Curriculum Merdeka Belajar, right? So in here, Curriculum Merdeka Belajar in Indonesia, also known as Independent Learning Curriculum, is an educational initiative aimed at promoting flexibility. So you can see the, what you call the keywords here. Flexibility, okay? And then creativity. You can see creativity. There we go. And student-centered learning. You don't need to write these. You can just take a photo, right? You can photograph this. And so if you have a discussion in a class with Memtini, then you can just, revisit. So I think there are 6 key aspects or essence of the Curriculum Merdeka Belajar. The first one is flexibility in learning. So what does it mean? That the curriculum allows school and teachers to adapt teaching methods and materials to better suit the needs and the context of the students. This includes flexibility in lesson plan, and the incorporation of local content. I'll just read thoroughly. Ya, if you want to say baca keseluruhan, thoroughly. Saya tulis di sini ya, kalau ada kata barunya. Sini aja. Right. Can you just keep your like microphone silent, please? I'll just write it here for your new vocabulary, right? I will read thoroughly. Ya, ini artinya itu baca keseluruhan ya. Ini artinya. Jadi, I will read it thoroughly, my best. I want to read it from the beginning until the end. And after that, we're gonna go like one by one. The next one is student-centered approach. It emphasizes active participatory learning. Students are encouraged to be more engaged and take responsibility for their own learning process. It aims to cultivate critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. So here the message of the curriculum is student-centered approach. Remember, not teacher-centered approach. So if the teacher is still taking a lot of the time to speak or to to explain something, then it might not be suit in the context of Kurikulum Merdeka Belajar. Okay. Number 3, holistic education. It focuses on the overall development of students, including cognitive, emotional, social, and physical aspects. This includes promoting character education and life skills alongside academic knowledge. So even though you are learning language, you are a teacher of language, but you also need to address the concern that entails cognitive, emotional, social, and physical aspects. Okay, so a job of a teacher, it's not only explaining the content of knowledge, but then you need to cover what does it mean by holistic education. Okay, so some people, they might say this is quite tough job, but I think being a teacher or not, or being a student or not, I think every human deserves to have holistic education. Being like, for example, like being a father, being a mother, you need to give a holistic education to your children. So then each of us are educators. Now you are becoming a student, but also you are an educator. It is entitled in each of us as a human. Okay. Number 4, it's integration of technology. So I think each of you know how to integrate technology into your life. Yeah. So basically, it's not about, teaching using technology. It's about we are living in a situation where technology is one of the center of, life activities. So then we need to bring this notion into the teaching practice. No matter what subject you are teaching, the incorporation of technology is imperative. If I say imperative, it's important, okay? I'll write it here and say no. imperative. Yeah? It's like essential. Yeah? So important. And then teacher empowerment. Yeah. So it provides greater autonomy and professional development opportunities for teachers, enabling them to innovate. You know, inovasi in Bahasa Indonesia. In English, the verb is innovate, okay? In their teaching practices and better support their students' learning journeys, okay? So teacher empowerment, what does it mean by teacher empowerment here? We must study every day. So a teacher is actually having a double job because the first job is being a teacher and the second job is being a student. While student, they only have one task, like being a student. So you can imagine the work of a teacher is, you know, quite heavy here. Yeah? It's a lot of loads, yeah, in our brain, and mostly it will affect the teacher's well-being as a whole. Next, the last one is assessment reform. Moves away from traditional exam-based assessment towards more diverse and formative assessment methods that reflect students' progress and understanding more accurately. So then what does it mean assessment reform here? There can be 10, 15, or probably 20 assessments in the class just to measure, just to know the ability of your students from different perspectives. Because sometimes student might, you know, if you design one test, then some student might not fit in that type of test. So then you need to think of different type of tests. So then you can see what kind of way that your student prefer to do, okay? So overall, Kurikulum Merdeka Belajar aims to create a more adaptable, relevant, student-focused education system and prepare students to meet the challenges of the modern world. Okay, so I hope the beginning of my sharing could give you a better picture of what is actually Kurikulum Merdeka Belajar. Should I complicate myself with this? Should I, you know, like having an issue with this? Is it difficult? Why curriculum is always changing? That's kind of question always come around our head. And sometimes we feel bothered with that. And then we complain to the government that the curriculum is changing every moment. And for me, there's nothing change. Curriculum is always curriculum. Okay? You need to prepare. Curriculum is a guidance. The guidance for the teachers and the students. So then they will be on the same page, right? So curriculum need to be documented. What does it mean by documented? You need to write it down. It needs to be tangible. Tangible is, I don't know if you know the words. Tangible. Tangible itu nyata, ya. Nyata. Nyata seperti bulan purnama. Yes, but bulan purnama, the moon, you can see the moon. You can say it's tangible, but it's not real tangible, but it's very far away. You cannot touch it. Tangible is something that you can see my hand now, and I hold my hand like this. So then you write it, you can touch it, you can feel that, That's we call tangible. And then the opposite is untangible, right? So you can just twist it, and then you have more words, yeah, if you have synonym and antonym. So if you can take a photo of this, I will be very happy. I can just make it smaller, and so you can have access to overall, yeah, you can take a photo. And because, I will stop the sharing, yeah, so then I can see you all and miss every faces, and I hope that I can see you very soon. Yeah, I know it's very far, but then within my heart, you guys are very close. Have you guys taken the photo of this before? Um,
Dia begini loh apanya.
mhm. Have you? Have you photographed this page?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay. You guys are adorable, right? So now stop sharing. Well, we can have a session of, ask question. You can just type your question in the chat box, right? So don't worry. And then if you get confused with how you're going to post a question, you can, Google your question, and after that, post it. That's very easy, yeah? No need to worry about. All right. Okay, so then we have actually seen the six essence of Curriculum Merdeka. And then now I'll try to expand my talk, and so we can see in a more detail. But again, this is my personal understanding and my personal interpretation. What does it mean having different personal interpretation and different personal understanding? It will help us to enrich, help us enrich our viewpoints of things. We can take this, we can take that, we can take different viewpoints. And after that, we can get the extract, of those, and we internalize it. And after that, we can have a new version from our viewpoint. So the first one, did you remember what was the first one of Curriculum Merdeka Belajar? The one that you took a photo? Okay, raise hand. Okay, yeah. Ananda, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Happy to meet you again, sir. I'm going to ask about how is the implementation of the Curriculum Merdeka being adapted for children with disabilities, given that this curriculum emphasizes active student participation over a dominant teacher role, as what you have mentioned earlier, while recognizing that children with disabilities often require more guidance? Thank you, sir.
That's a very good question. Thank you very much. The nature of human is vary from one person to another, from one group to another. And so every, differences need to be treated based on the nature. If the nature of disability needs a lot of assistance from the teachers, then you can provide, a kind of scaling assistance. What does it mean by scaling assistance? Maybe from bigger to small, yeah, big to small. I mean, from a lot to little, like this one. You grade the assistance. Because if you do not grade the assistance, then basically you don't provide the student with independence. The point of learning is that how you can provide your learner an independent, you know, activities that they are going to do for their own life. They need to be responsible, or they need to be, you know, accountable for their own life, for their family, and for the society where they live in. And so, for example, let me give you an example. If the student, for example, like deaf student, they might not hear something. So then maybe what kind of activities that you're going to provide to stimulate their sense of understanding? Maybe you can show them, right? And then after that, while you are showing something to them that they can recognize the thing, and you can start to sound your voice a bit louder, and then see whether the senses of hearing can be activated at the same time. Maybe you can give them, maybe you see this one first, and then you can ring something. And then after that, you can test that. You can test that activities for sometimes and see how does it work. And after that, when the student started to recognize the sound of that, deaf is completely deaf, is always, you can't hear anything. But then I always believe that decision is not from us. Decision is always from Allah. So once you pray, because a teacher is need also to pray, yeah? So a teacher, it's not just go into the class. A teacher need to pray, need to recite Al-Quran, need to, you know, I'll say, what is that? You need to ask sincerely when you pray. Ya Allah, for example, berikan kesanggupan ya kepada anak saya yang tuli ini. Ya, semoga dia bisa mulai mendengar pelan-pelan, ya, dengan berbagai macam bunyi. So the you know, the student who depend on looking at something, and then by providing maybe something, they will reduce their a dependence. What else? Because we've just actually see the secret sense. You can invite peers. Don't think of just like Merdeka Belajar. It's not mainly from the teachers. You can use, you know, online platforms. You can invite teachers, other teachers. You can invite their friends. And then you can see the opportunity of the student, how they learned. Because if you think that you know, like, I am a teacher, I have huge responsibility for this. For me, it's completely wrong. The responsibility of every students that we are teaching is actually the responsibility of the citizen of the nations. Like, for example, that's my responsibility. That's your responsibility. That's your mother's responsibility. It's very hard to see the you know, the nexus or the interlink between these people, how they come to be the, you know, the assistants of the students. But then once we dive into the context deeper, then we can see how they are related to each other. For example, your mother to the students that you're teaching. If your mother prays for you, if your mother prepare meals for you, when you come home, your mother serves you quite well, greets you, and then it provides a positive well-being for you. And then once you have that positivity within yourself, then you can have better thinking to generate different ideas into your teaching practice. And then the student can have a great result. Your friends, and in fact, the nature, the non-living creature, they all are interconnected. Again, life is always interconnected with everything. Right. So then my answer to your question is that always think of the possibility of empowerment, always think of the possibility of holistic education, always think of the possibility of working together, partner with other people. And so you can see how these different resources amalgamated together and see the overall effect to the target learners. Thank you, Indri.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Come on, ada lagi. You can just type it. I haven't checked my chat box, but silakan di screenshot. Okay. All right. Do you have any question? Okay. Yep. Rizka, please.
Thank you, sir, for opportunity. And in my question, the independent curriculum is flexible and all technology. But in this case, I think that only seems
That's okay.
I think that only seems to apply to schools and in the cities or schools that are able to implement it. So what about schools in remote village that are still from technologically advanced and are not yet able to provide media for this independent curriculum?
Okay, that is very good question. Thank you very much. I will say some of the notion of that idea is, for example, Kurikulum Merdeka Belajar only be applied in certain area, not to the overall areas. Overall area means across Indonesia, right? Okay. First of all, to answer your question, Kurikulum Merdeka Belajar is an ideology. What is an ideology? You need to embed that Kurikulum Merdeka Belajar into your blood. And then let the blood flow in every part of your body. And then so once the blood reaching every part of your body, then you can feel wherever you are, Kurikulum Merdeka Belajar is always there, right? So let's see flexibility of learning, okay? Before I'll just give you a two division of Kurikulum Merdeka Belajar in my understanding. Firstly, institutional curriculum need to be Merdeka Belajar. And then department curriculum need to be Merdeka Belajar. So institutional curriculum like in IAIN Kendari ya, secara institusi harus ada kurikulum Merdeka Belajarnya. Kemudian habis itu di Prodi ada namanya kurikulum Merdeka Belajarnya. And then within the department atau the school ya, kalau di sekolah di-generate lagi dua. Ada namanya internal curriculum and external curriculum. Right. Ini di badan sekolahnya ya atau the departmentnya. External curriculum di badan department, mereka akan merancang internship, they will design internship, akan pertukaran mahasiswa, akan melakukan ini. That's within the department. Okay. Yeah. ada namanya ngundang dosen untuk datang mengajar ke kita atau pertukar apalah namanya. Itu di badan department. And then internal teaching, ada kita kenal namanya internal teaching. Internal teaching itu adalah mengajar mata pelajaran, ya, mengajar mata kuliah, right? Mengajar mata kuliah ini dia juga harus need to be we need to embed. I love the kid sounds, ya, Marshania, ya gitu. Yeah, I miss my little girl at home. And Ibu Tini just showed me a little girl or boy, yeah. So internal curriculum within the department, you guys have mata kuliah. And then mata kuliah itu yang harus ada kurikulumnya. So the curriculum Merdeka Belajar itu sama ya, nggak ada bedanya dengan kurikulum-kurikulum yang dulu ya. There's no difference. It's the same. The only difference is the I'll say the values ya. Nilainya harus benar-benar masuk dalam diri kita. Nah, contohnya, if I am teaching speaking, right? Or if I'm teaching math, if I'm teaching whatever subject that you're teaching, you need to design your lesson plan. Jadi tetap ada lesson plan-nya lesson plan biasa. It need to be just right what you, yeah, okay? Jadi kalau ada, if you think that kurikulum Merdeka, gimana model lesson plan-nya? Ya lesson plan, it's just lesson plan. Lesson plan begin, after that, and next, it's a procedure, right? And then after you have, how you're going to make your lesson plan to be kurikulum Merdeka Belajar. Kalau siswanya mau belajar di rumah, tidak mau datang, selama dia bisa melaporkan laporan belajarnya, that's fine. That's already kurikulum Merdeka Belajar. Kalau siswanya dia mau belajar lewat HP, dia cuma melapor, saya mau belajar ini hasilnya ini. Oke, that's kurikulum Merdeka Belajar. Selama yang dilakukan siswanya ini masuk dalam lesson plan Anda, karena Anda harus mempertanggungjawabkan kurikulum tadi. Makanya ada kurikulum supaya siswa and the teachers are on the same page. Okay, mereka dalam satu on the same boat or whatever you wanna say it. Right? And then think of your student. Oh, studentku ini ada yang sukanya nonton aja. Oke, kalau ceritanya dia deskriptif materinya, ask them to watch. And after that, then they can describe anything that they watch, as long as they are responsible for that. They're not cheating. Pokoknya kurikulum Merdeka Belajar mengajarkan kita not cheating. You need to be true. Okay. Apalagi kira-kira? Siswaku kayaknya saya mau undang
Kenapa dia marah?
Pak Od. Oh, hang on ya. Aku mute dulu ini. Thank you. All right. You can invite teachers from other schools, or you can invite students from other schools to share their experience. Maybe the students like it. Right. So, again, memikirkan berbagai macam cara untuk mengajar, entah apa saja. Makanya dia dibilang ini flexibility and student center, integration of technology, and teacher empowerment. Apa itu teacher empowerment? Belajar Ki setiap hari. Yeah, because you have double job. You are student, but also you are a teacher. And then, apalagi kira-kira? Ya sembarangan aja, yang penting siswanya senang belajar. Ya. And then they need to be held accountable for their self. Kalau saya bilang they need to be held accountable for their learning, harus bertanggung jawab pada pembelajaran mereka sendiri. As long as they follow the lesson plan that you are devising, that you are designing. And then the student know what is actually the actual target, the actual outcome of the lesson plan. Ya, jadi apa aja sebenarnya. Jadi nggak apa-apa. Mau di desa, jadi kalau ada misalnya, I heard a lot of hearsays. Hearsays itu kayak gosip-gosip ya gitu. Oke. Gosip-gosip asik namanya. Mhm. Ih, jengkel aku dong sama pemerintah. Ganti terus ini apakah maksudnya? Hey, come on. We need change. We need, innovation. We need, like a dynamic situation. But we need to accept that. We can't reject it. We can't just say no, because we live in different situations, and different situations need to be responded differently. Kurikulum itu nggak berubah. Caranya doang. Orang anak-anak sekarang beda. Ada yang mau hanya dalam kamar, ada yang mau dalam apa. Berarti dipikirkan nih supaya dia keluar kamar. Dibuatkan mungkin topiknya hari ini mungkin aljabar. Kalau yang mengajar matematika ya. For example. And then take them in the field. Siapa yang mau datang di field, ada artis loh di lapangan. Suruh artisnya pegang aljabar. Baru suruh mereka menyanyi pakai aljabar. They will follow it. Right? And after that, your class is successful. They know what is aljabar. And they are happy, right? So itu ya, jadi jawabannya di mana aja ya, di mana aja, mau di desa, mau di mana. Kalau mereka ada internet, kan ada laut, kan ada gunung, kan ada apa namanya, orang-orang hebat di kampung itu yang bisa didatangkan untuk berbagi inspirasi. Ya, jadi dia sumber belajarnya dia banyak. Kalau dibilang merdeka belajar bukan dari guru aja. Makanya dalam 16 kali pertemuan nanti sudah didesain. Oh, guru berapa kali, yang mau didatangkan berapa kali, menggunakan video berapa kali. Tapi dengan syarat yang seperti sudah dilakukan sama Memtini, needs assessment. Your needs assessment is very, very essential, because from that, then you can design different activities. Oh, berapa kali ya mau, ini kayaknya mereka bosan nih sama saya. Undang mungkin ada mahasiswa dari ini deh, kerja sama-sama kampus. Itu merdeka belajar. Jadi bukan kita yang stres. Jadi kalau aku mah merdeka belajar santai aja. Kayak sekarang ini, Memtini sudah merdeka belajar kurikulumnya, because ya minimal mengundang aku dong untuk sharing, which is I'm so happy. Saya sendiri langsung begini, Alhamdulillah, ya Allah berikan saya kemampuan so I can talk to the students, because I am learning, and I don't know if I make a lot of mistake during my presentation. And so, before I start the class, from yesterday, saya sudah memanjatkan doa yang sangat banyak. Ya Allah, berikan saya kemampuan. Karena gugurnya satu daun, entah itu daunnya sudah mati atau masih hidup, it's under the control of the creator of the universe, which is Allah. Right? Jadi Rizka bisa ya sekarang sama teman-temannya paham bahwa kurikulum Merdeka Belajar itu tetap Ci ada lesson plan-nya. Tetap Ci itu kurikulum Ci diganggu-ganggu itu. Ya nggak tahu. Yang mau dipikirkan itu apa di caranya ini supaya anak-anak ini pintar. Nah, gitu. Oke, dan mereka mau belajar sendiri, bukan gurunya. Student center approach. Tesnya juga beda, lihat tuh nomor 6 ya, yang sudah di nomor 6 itu. Oh, kalau yang suka nonton berarti nanti nggak bisa dia ini. Oke deh. Karena ini mata kuliahnya speaking, berarti nanti yang mau dia tidak mau diwawancara banyak orang. Wawancara sendiri deh. Baru kita tanya, topik yang kamu mau ngomongin apa? Yang kamu bisa. Oke. Setelah dia ngomong, speakingnya kita assess, oh grammarnya sekian, sekian, sekian. Oh anaknya bisa kok, tapi memang harus dikembangkan di sini. Jadi kurikulum Merdeka Belajar itu malah ikat. For me, I love it. Karena siswa bisa merdeka. Gitu kok, seenaknya. Saya nggak mau ujian di sekolah, Sir. Mau ujian dari rumah aja. Oke, kita set Zoom ya. Jadi orang yang mengajar di kurikulum Merdeka nggak boleh marah-marah, nggak boleh sakit hati, harus menjadi malaikat bagi siswanya, supaya siswanya bisa menjadi masyarakat yang baik di masyarakatnya dan menjadi masyarakat yang baik di Indonesia. Akhirnya keseluruhan Indonesia menjadi masyarakat yang cool. Itu ya yang saya lagi coba pahami. Bisa mengerti kan kalau saya ngomongnya seperti itu? Like, do you guys understand? Supaya nanti nggak pusing. Ih, bagaimana ini kita mau disuruh. Misalnya ada tugas nih dari Memtini nanti misalnya buat rencana pembelajaran. Tinggal diingat, topikku saya mau buat daily activities. Apa kira-kira supaya siswa bisa, oh saya mau pakai teknologi ini. Saya mau undang orang deh. Misalnya poin pertama tuh membuka pelajaran. Yang kedua, memperkenalkan orang yang seperti Rasulullah kegiatan sehari-harinya dari subuh sampai malam supaya nanti terinspirasi 15 menit ini orangnya nggak datang karena dia sibuk. Suruh dia buat video baru kita pakai dalam kelas tak. Nggak ada LCD di sekolah. Ada handphonenya siswa atau suruh itu siswa duduk bareng-bareng di karena cuma satu orang yang punya handphone. Tambah gurunya ada handphone, kasih pinjam itu handphone ke siswanya. Bagi itu dua kelompok, dua handphone. Nonton itu orang yang daily activitiesnya luar biasa. Habis itu baru mulai nih kita bilang misalnya, do you have your own daily activities and how are you going to, implement the one that you have seen? Kira-kira. What will be the challenge? Kira-kira tantangannya kalau harus selalu bangun pagi dan harus selalu sembahyang tepat waktu. Apa challenge-nya? Gurunya yang akan mencoba memberikan navigasi bagaimana cara mengatasi kelemahan-kelemahan mereka supaya mereka bisa sholat tepat waktu, supaya kegiatan sehari-harinya lebih baik. Kan mereka udah nonton nih, mengaji 5 juz satu hari, terus habis itu membantu orang tua sampai semuanya ini yang di video sama siswanya dibilang begini, mate kak ini kalau begini. Kita tanya nih sebagai guru, kira-kira apa halangan tak? Kalau begitu, masuklah intervensi guru. Dengan hasil bacaannya tadi, masih ingat di poin nomor 5 ada namanya teacher empowerment. Teacher empowerment itu dia belajar terus gurunya. Nggak boleh gurunya itu santai. Misalnya, besok aku mengajar ini daily activities. Udah itu. Oh no, you have to study, you have to learn, you have to think wider perspective, and then you need to bring those perspective into your teaching, and so you can inspire your students. That's actually the ultimate goal of teaching, right? Oke ya, kayak sudah ada mulai ngerti-ngerti ya. Jadi kalau disuruh buat terus dia bilang begini, kenapa lesson planku beda? Contoh pik punyamu. Jami kasihan contoh-contoh. Oh itu kurikulum merdeka. Tergantung kita. Jadi kalau kalau misalnya dosennya atau gurunya dibilang begini, kenapa lesson plannya begini? Berikan alasannya. Because your context is different from other people's context, right? So if it is different, how come you can make it the same with other people? So if other school copy the curriculum from other schools, I think this is completely crazy. Because how come they put their students in a similar context while the distance is different, the students are different, and how come they can use the similar curriculum? Ya, jadi yang dimaksud dengan itunya kurikulumnya itu memang ada kan dari Jakarta tuh dari nasional misalnya harus belajar topik pertama itu ini itu harus diikuti caranya yang harus beda ya, caranya tergantung di tempat kita masing-masing. Jangan kita bilang begini susahnya Mi, saya tidak bisa saya no, Karena tetap ada lesson plan-nya, caranya doang.
Recording in progress.
Oke, ada yang mau bertanya lagi? Silakan. Elisa, ya, oke. Come on, Elisa.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My question is, how can underdeveloped country effectively adopt and practice of the curriculum Merdeka Belajar to promote more flexible student-centered learning environment within their education systems?
Mhm. That is an excellent question. Let me pray. Ya Allah, help me to answer Elisa's questions because Elisa's question is very difficult. Okay. Elisa, again, I think this relate with the previous questions, right? A curriculum Merdeka Belajar is an ideology. It's belief, it's values that we need to embed it, we need to internalize within ourselves as a teacher. Once the internalization of curriculum Merdeka Belajar already successful, generated in our blood, we know what does it mean by flexibility in learning. We know what is student center. We know holistic education. We know integration of technology. We know teacher empowerment, and we know assessment reforms. Once we know all the six, then you can think of any appropriate way doesn't bother you a lot and doesn't bother the students. You need to be happy, right? So the center of learning is happiness and love. Why love and happiness should be the center of learning in Curriculum Merdeka Belajar? Because every human created differently from one another. And that's why they cannot be forced to learn. For those people who like to learn, from viewing or from listening or from acting or from whatever, they need to be given opportunity to do the things as they desire. Okay. So in the underdeveloped countries, for example, like no electricity, maybe no internet connections, you can think of playing in the field. You can think of inviting, other peers that might inspire them. You need to think of working together with other institution. Then they can come over to a school and they can inspire your students. Again, Merdeka Belajar doesn't emphasize learning in the classroom only. Merdeka Belajar emphasize learning is everywhere as long as student can have a better result. Whatever mode they are using, whatever technique that they are using, whatever way that they're using, as long as you can see tangible result from the students, that's already successful. So the successful of learning, it's not determined by the teacher, but determined by interconnected, the nexus of the environment. Ya, jadi keberhasilannya siswa belajar itu karena kecanggihan guru dalam menggabungkan berbagai macam resources, ya. Entah itu masyarakat, entah itu alam, entah itu teknologi, entah itu apa aja yang membawa siswa bisa merasakan maknanya belajar. So another point that we must understand as a teacher, how we can, channel the value of curriculum Merdeka within the soul of each student. Bagaimana seorang guru berhasil insert, memasukkan ide atau filosofi dari kurikulum Merdeka Belajar ke dalam hatinya siswa, bahwa mereka yang penting belajar dan bisa menunjukkan hasil dan mereka mau berkembang dan kita nilai dan itu memang ada perubahan dalam hidup mereka. Sudah itu namanya kurikulum merdeka. I know Elisa you don't speak bahasa Indonesia, but then I think it's also important. I can share to those friends who might feel better if I can mix it with bahasa, right? But again, this is not a difficult task. This is actually very easy. Yeah, it's only how you can amalgamate. Amalgamate itu menggabungkan ya, atau merge, atau hybrid. Yeah, how are you going to hybrid different resources so you can help your students to be able to learn according to their preference. Ya, kata kuncinya lagi kurikulum Merdeka Belajar itu, berikan kesempatan belajar kepada siswamu sesuai dengan keinginan mereka, selama mereka memenuhi harapan dari tujuan lesson plan Anda. Ya gitu. Okay, that's what I wanna emphasize. Alicia, I hope it can answer your question. And ada lagi yang mau bertanya? Kayaknya kita lagi pada. Or maybe, hang on, now it's 9. 9. Can we have, di sini ada how teachers, ada pertanyaan ya, sorry. From Dita. Sir, how do teachers ensure that all students can achieve learning targets and even though there are variation in learning? This is very good question. This is actually the question that you know, which is very difficult to do, right? Another question that I will give you, how can you make sure that the presence of the students in the class can help you to understand that they understand your materials? A similar question, yeah? So then the problems of asking whether the student can understand if they study themselves, it's also, it can be asked to the teachers. Do the student understand if I'm teaching them in the class? Right. So then what is the key messages that I am going to make here? You guys need to think, how are you going to do that? And this is a huge task. Maybe approaching the parents. Maybe you need to have a collective meeting with the board of the schools. And then after that, invite, psychiatrists, or maybe you can invite general doctors and then see. So because some students, they might show you different behavior. It's not because they really want to do it, because they are mentally ill and sometimes they need help from health practitioners, yeah, or maybe psychological disorder. So then you can ask, the expert. Or kalau yang nakal, then you can discuss with, tokoh-tokoh agama yang bisa membawa perubahan. The question is that guru harus mencoba memberikan pemahaman bahwa belajarnya itu adalah bukan dari guru. Belajar itu adalah setiap individu, tanggung jawab kita setiap individu untuk meyakinkan diri kita belajar. Right? So then salah satu kerja keras yang harus dilakukan di kurikulum Merdeka Belajar adalah mengajarkan orang supaya mencintai belajar sendiri. Karena belajar dan pemahaman didapatkan dari diri kita sendiri. Ketika kita memaksa diri kita dan ketika kita mau belajar sungguh-sungguh. Teachers and other people, only the external factors that can help you to see other viewpoints from different angles, ya. Jadi pertanyaannya Dita dan Cindy keren banget. Ini yang sampai di tingkat mahasiswa belum nyampe, ya gitu. Oke. Belum nyampenya itu apa? Boleh jadi teachersnya sudah, tapi student selalu menganggap bahwa belajar itu adalah ketika ada jadwal, belajar itu adalah ketika ada guru, dan tidak ada guru dan tidak ada jadwal, maka no learning. Sementara di kurikulum Merdeka Belajar ditekankan bahwa you may not come to the class, you may be absent from the class, but then your individual learning need to be taken place every single second. Gitu ya, semoga Maghfirah Ramadhani. Iya, aku pikir ini doa. Oh, ini ternyata pertanyaannya lain lagi. Aduh, ya Allah, pertanyaannya ini kok susah banget sih semuanya. And ini pasti Memtini sudah sangat luar biasa memberikan kalian pemahaman what makes necessary changes to the evaluation and assessment system to support independent learning curriculum. This is a very good question. Again, Maghfirah, you know, we have a very specific endowment that have been given by the creator of the universe, by Allah. Yeah, we have different traits. We are totally different. We are having similar humanitarian values. For example, if someone pinch you, you will feel it's painful. We also have similar, I'll say appearance. We have hair, eyes, but then again, psychologically, we are completely different being. And so because we are completely different being, and what are you going to do in the class? You need to group your students. You need to think like how many of the students who like this kind of test, how many students who fall under the category of learning through vision, through hearing, through, or maybe kinesthetic or whatever. And after that, you can devise your assessment. So then the assessment can reach, the students, or can help students to understand. Designing one assessment is actually a killing, I'll say a killing time for the students. Why? Because, some student might not feel okay with your assessment. So then having different assessment, as long as it can measure the outcome of the lesson, that's fine. I know it's tiring. So again, salah satu tambahan dari kurikulum Merdeka Belajar itu adalah lelah. Lelahnya itu adalah karena setiap orang harus diberikan assessment yang minimal mendekati dengan preferensinya. So, tidak ada paksaan ya gitu. Oke, jadi tidak menggunakan satu tes misalnya semuanya harus menjawab soal ini atau ini enggak. Ya, itu dari Maghfirah ya. All right. Can we have a break? Yeah, we're gonna have a maybe 5 minutes break. And then after that, we can keep going and we can finish. What time are you going to finish? Maybe we can finish at 10:30, right? Because I know you guys, you're gonna have some thing to do with friends. So you're going to, or if you want to extend it to 10, that's also your decision. Just let me know. So now we're gonna have a break for, let me check the time. It's now 9:16, and then we come back at, can we come back at 10:02 or 10:03? Or 9:17, so 20 or 25, yeah? 9:25, okay? Okay, I'll see you then.
Are you okay?
Yes, Miss. Then how about me, then?
Yeah. So it's very nice to hear some of you have asked Pak Halim, and sorry, let me show you. Yeah, so I'm thinking that you have to like take a notes about the materials, and don't forget to just asking, because it's very, what is it? Um, it's the chance will not be repeatedly, right? Tidak akan terulang lagi kesempatannya untuk belajar sama-sama Mr. Halim ya. Jadi please stay fokus untuk beberapa yang mungkin kameranya masih off. Kemudian kalau diminta respon untuk segera merespon. Sebentar lagi mungkin tidak akan terlalu lama Zoom-nya. Insya Allah. Thank you very much for your cooperation everyone. Ya, I'm still on ears ya. Saya tetap melihat Anda. Oke? Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, so welcome back. Um, in this second half of the class, and before we end up our class, I'm going to share this one. It's very simple notes. Hang on. Can you see important note there? Number one, do not isolate your student from the world around them. What does it mean? Do not isolate your student from the world around them. You may teach any topic, but then you also need to relate the topic that you're teaching with the issues around them. So then at the same time they are learning the topic, but they also understand what's actually is unfolding around the place. Unfolding here means terjadi or happen. Include variation in your lesson plan as the indication of Merdeka Belajar and justify it. What does it mean? When you write lesson plan, just write lesson plan. Normal lesson plan biasa. Misalnya yang pertama membuka pelajaran, yang kedua memberikan ini, yang ketiga memberikan kosakata, yang apa, gitu-gitu doang. And then masukkan indication Merdeka Belajarnya apa? Misalnya membuka pelajaran dengan memberikan video tentang keberhasilan seseorang ini yang lebih pendek versinya, namanya juga pembuka, baru jelaskan. Justify, what does it mean? Justify that part. Orang ini itu adalah orang hebat, orang ini itu adalah bisa memberikan inspirasi kepada siswa, orang ini itu apa? That would be the justification of your lesson plan. Right? Kemudian memberikan kosakata. Kalau kosakatanya sehari-hari, misalnya apa? Sehari-hari itu kan bilangnya take a bath, right? And then after that, having dinner, having lunch, and then making call. Kira-kira kosakata apa yang bisa bertambah, yang bagus untuk menambah pengetahuan mereka tentang keseharian? Berarti kalau makan tambahin dengan misalnya apa namanya white blood cells dengan red blood cells. Kenapa harus diberikan kata ini? Karena sel darah putih dan sel darah merah sangat bergantung dari konsumsi makanan yang siswa makan. Jadi ada tambahan ilmu pengetahuan selain hanya mereka belajar pergi go to school, habis itu watch TV, watch TV-nya bisa ditambahin dengan kondisi terkini. Kondisi terkini adalah what is the current condition of Israel and Gaza? Berarti kita bisa memberikan kosakata minimal apa namanya human right violations. Misalnya, I watch TV and I understand the human right violation. Ada tambahan-tambahan hal yang memang diberikan supaya mereka itu tidak terisolasi dari dunia ini. Ya topiknya tetap aja topik sehari-hari begitu, tinggal dilihat kira-kira apa yang mau ditambahin dari poin-poin ini. Oh ini tambahannya lagi kemudian di menit 10 sampai menit 15 siswa menggunakan handphone masing-masing dan belajar di mana saja mereka suka untuk mencari informasi tentang tokoh-tokoh yang hebat, bagaimana mereka melakukan kegiatan sehari-hari mereka. Begitu doang ditulis di lesson plan, so there's nothing that you need to worry about, right? It's all generation of vocabulary within your lesson plan. Another things that you need to consider is what part of Curriculum Merdeka Belajar that you need to integrate to bring your students having more broad perspective. They can understand they are learning because they are doing it according to their preference. Itu doang dan nggak perlu harus harus apa namanya sepanjang apa lesson plan-nya. Yang penting indikasi merdeka. Jadi yang dimaksud dengan merdeka ini tidak susah. Merdeka itu adalah seperti kita merdeka dari penjajahan Belanda yang lama banget. Ya jadi nggak perlu harus lihat temannya ikut apa lesson plan. Hey, come on. Just do it because you are different from other people. Once you copy your friends, you are not merdeka. You are threatened by a person nearby. You always think that you are quite desperate. Yeah, your inferiority complex is always interfere your decision to do something, and this is not good. Curriculum Merdeka should be a teacher's independence. Yeah. So teacher's independence is does it mean teacher's independence? You need to do things according to your own desire, as long as you're not violating the central curriculum that need to be addressed to reach or to attain the national goal. Oke, misalnya siswa harus bisa apa di level ini, siswa harus bisa apa. Oke, that's what my perspective. Make the learning fun, itu yang paling penting. Apa yang dimaksud dengan make the learning fun? The learning is not under the control of the teachers. The learning is under the control of the students. What does it mean? As long as the student can understand something, can produce knowledge from what they are doing, and then you can see them and you can assess them that they're doing it well, that is actually learning. Yeah. And that's why the assessment need to vary, yeah. Need to be variative, ya. Jadi harus bervariasi asesmennya untuk misalnya topik apa yang kita ajarkan itu. Karena siswa melakukan kegiatannya berbagai macam. Ya, jadi nanti buatnya gitu kalau menurut aku. And then ensure that your student know that the learning is from the student, not from the teacher. Ini adalah hal yang paling berat yang harus dirubah di Indonesia. Karena parents and students think that they are learning from school. They send their children to school. They sometimes choose a very, very good school, and they say that my child can learn. I don't think so. That's wrong. This for me like completely wrong conception. School is only facilitator. Teachers only facilitator. Jadi kalau ditanya belum berhasil, iya iyalah. Orang gurunya kalian di sekolah berarti yang salah juga adalah orang tuanya yang selalu memberikan harapan kepada anaknya untuk belajar dari sekolahnya. Jadi kalau kalian belum berhasil secara sempurna itu bukan kesalahan guru, tapi karena memang kita within the ecosystem yang saling interconnected. Di masyarakat, di rumah, di siswa sendiri selalu berharap sehingga the percentage of the misconception of what is actually learning membawa pada keberhasilan yang half attained. Jadi setengah tercapai, bahkan kadang tidak tercapai. Sehingga gradually Anda semua dalam mendesain lesson plan-nya harus selalu mengarahkan kepada siswa that you guys must learn. Apapun yang mau dilakukan selama bisa tunjukin hasilnya dan bisa mem atau bisa search check. Misalnya kalau itu adalah describing, mereka mau mendescribe animal ke, mau mendescribe apa ke, mau mendescribe apa ke, mau membawa alat baru mendescribe ke, selama bisa diakses bahwa they produce the language, that is actually the actual learning. Ya, actual learningnya bukan dari aktivitas yang dirancang guru semata, tapi dirancang harus sesuai dengan kehendaknya siswa. Oke, jadi gitu. Dia mau datang di sekolah ke, dia mau tidak datang di sekolah ke, selama siswa itu memang dia melakukan proses pembelajaran dan orang tuanya juga menjamin bahwa dia melakukan pembelajaran, minta buktinya mana. Berikan dia kehadiran, karena kehadiran adalah bukan bukan satu-satunya yang menentukan dia belajar atau tidak. ya gitu. Kehadirannya itu di dalam kelas adalah ketika dia melaksanakan pembelajaran dengan tulus dan ikhlas. Itu kata kuncinya hadir. Kita kasih hadir dia, even dia tidak ada di dalam kelas. Ya gitu. Oke, karena mungkin ada kegiatan apa, mungkin dia kayak gimana. Alright? Itu dari saya. Semoga nanti bisa memberikan sedikit pemahaman. Mungkin nanti ke depannya setelah sesi ini, kalau ada tugas, jadi lebih bebas ya gitu. Datang-datang ke sekolah mem, aku mau bebas, aku mau merdeka. Aku kan bukan penjajahan Belanda lagi. Terus memtimnya, silahkan kalian bebas. Pulang-pulang hancur. Karena kalian tidak mandiri, tidak belajar. Karena selalu berpikir belajarnya dalam kelas. Gitu. Karena for me, ada lagi yang mau bertanya, silahkan. Ayo jangan malu dong. Ya, Rifka dan eh Darniatin.
Darniatin, sir.
Ya.
Okay, thanks for the chance, sir. My question is, since curriculum Merdeka allows students to choose learning that they want to choose based on their skill, talents, and interests. But sometimes we find that students still confused with their talents, with their interests. So, as a future teacher, how do we direct to help them to solve this problem? I mean, they having difficulty to recognize themselves.
All right. This is a professor question. Why you have a difficult question? You're gonna kill me? Right. Because what I understand from your question, that teacher has responsibility to guide the students, to direct the students, right? In my perspective now, I'm completely, completely changed. We have our own self-navigation about what we are going to do, what we like, right? What we need to do is that as long as you don't violate, you don't harm yourself, and you do not harm your society, do as you want. And then you do things according to religious practices that we are upholding, it's all right. There's nothing wrong of what we are doing. What we think it's wrong, what we think it's right, it's only our learned behavior. Apa itu learned behavior? Learned behavior itu adalah sikap yang diajarkan, yang diturunkan ke kita dari orang tua kita, dari masyarakat, bahwa ini salah, ini jelek, ini benar, ini. Sementara kebenaran dan kesalahan yang absolut adalah tidak pernah diketahui, hanya Allah yang tahu. Jadi pertanyaannya, kalau tadi misalnya kayaknya siswa tidak mengetahui atau tidak mengarah, mungkin karena kita tidak di-angle mereka, mungkin mereka benar hanya karena kita yang sudah terajarkan bahwa ini adalah salah dan ini adalah benar, maka justifikasi itu melekat kepada siswanya. Sehingga there is a confrontation, ya, like a self-confrontation. Like, jengkelku ini sama anak-anak. Akhirnya secara kesehatan gurunya jadi terganggu. Apa itu? Bukan gila, bukan stres. Orang yang terganggu kesehatannya itu misalnya memikirkan misalnya gini, jengkelku itu sama itu anak, kenapa dia begini-begini. It's part of your health issues. Padahal harusnya ketika ada siswa yang misalnya melakukan sesuatu agak aneh dari kita, harusnya lakukan pendekatan persuasif, ya gitu. Akhirnya misalnya, apa sih alasan Tana kenapa kita lakukan ini? Memang bisa Kak ini begini? Iya. Oh iya, kalau memang itu kita mau, silahkan. Yang penting hasilnya ini oke ya. Mau lihat kamu bisa lakukan ini. Ya, jadi nanti siapa lagi tadi, Rifka, tetap kebebasan itu ada sama siswa. Yang terpenting itu adalah you need to see the result. Ya, hasilnya ada sesuai. Oh, dia bisa, kalau misalnya dia bisa nulis, oke, mana tulisannya? Bisa nggak nulis? Oke, gitu. Apapun yang dia lakukan. Kata kuncinya tidak melanggar hak asasi manusia, tidak merusak dirinya, tidak melanggar agama, dan selalu in accordance with human rights, with Islamic values, with whatever values that people are upholding. Ya, itu ya bisa dimengerti sedikit-sedikit. Jadi kata kuncinya mulai dari hari ini, jangan gampang mengatakan benar dan jangan gampang mengatakan salah kepada sesuatu. Karena sesuatu yang kita katakan itu adalah ada istilahnya, istilah teorinya, we are socially constructed. Apa itu yang dimaksud dengan socially constructed? Segala sesuatunya itu adalah akibat dari konstruksi sosial. Keluarga kita siapa, yang mengajarkan kita siapa, agama kita apa. Jadi itu sudah ada semuanya. Sehingga itu membawa kita kepada asumsi bahwa ini salah, ini benar, ini salah, ini benar, ini salah, ini benar. Kita boleh mengatakan salah, tapi cukup kita simpan di sini sambil bernegosiasi dengan Allah. Allah, apakah saya ini mengatakan salah, ini benar apa? Enggak ya. Haruskah saya marah ini ya Allah? Dosakah ini saya marah dalam hati kepada orang ini? Karena semuanya itu adalah keputusannya Allah yang tahu ya. Kalau aku sih gitu ya. Makanya kalau sekarang ini ada yang mau nanya, kemarin ada yang nanya, Sir, bisa nggak kapan dilihat Sir marah sekarang? Ini nggak bisa dilihat lagi, Sir nggak marah lagi. Yang ada itu senyum doang. Oke, itu aja ya jawabannya. Semoga bisa. Ini ada pertanyaan lagi. Kalau ada panggilan rapat. Happy learning everyone. Oh, saya kira pertanyaan. Memang ini buat aku jadi copot ini. Pikirnya ada pertanyaan yang susah. Siswanya tadi pertanyaannya susah-susah
Pak
semua.
Halim, thank you. Saya live dulu.
Welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I will be ending the
Ya,
class very
thank
soon.
you everyone.
Tinggal mau ditutup aja.
Foto-foto ya.
Foto. Oke, tunggu aku perbaiki dulu muka itu. Alright, ya. Silakan Mem Tini mau foto.
Thank you Pak. Assalamualaikum. Oh ya sudah kita berfoto berjamaah.
Foto berjamaah ya. Oke, saya senyum
Siapa
dulu.
yang mau foto ini?
Senyum dulu
Iya.
semuanya.
Anjir mau berfoto baru bangun anjir.
Oke. Ya, thank you Pak.
Alright.
Thank you so much Sir. Ya, saya live duluan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Kita juga udah lagi siap-siap tutup nih. Alright. Jadi kita stop share screen, kemudian kita kembali ke sini. Kira-kira tutupnya apa ya? Ada yang mau sarankan nggak? Do you have any ideas or suggestion? How can I close this so then you can remember me as a nice people? I want to be remembered as a nice people. I want to be remembered as like positive people. So then how do you want me to close the meeting? Mau kayak gimana? Ayo. Mau diberikan kata-kata apa untuk menutupnya? Ayo dong, nggak apa-apa. Siapa aja yang mau berkomentar silahkan. Untuk menutup kelas kurikulum kita. Ada yang memberikan saran? Kenapa pada malu semua ya Allah? Akhirnya Sar jadi takut ini.
I'm sorry, sir. Maybe can you give me motivate for uh, for study?
Tips for studying? All right.
Motivate, sir.
Motivate.
Motivation.
Okay. Well, the first one, human is a long life learner. What does it mean? Long life learner. Belajar seumur hidup, ya. Itu namanya. And that's why I like to study. Every day I study. I hope today I can share what I want to share yesterday. Kemarin itu aku mau share tapi nggak kelihatan. Nah, ini. Ini kosakatanya Sir ya. Perhatikan ini setiap hari mulai dari ini dulu nih. Avert ya. Prevent, stop, deter, avoid, deter, divert. So then I can use this in different way of learning. So I am learning every day. Don't butt in. Like, don't interfere, don't mess up. It's like slide in, sampingan, pekerjaan sampingan, dire, right? Terrible, horrible. They all are the rage. Oh, itu sangat tenar. So then the use of technology in the class is all the rage. Oh, tenar sekali. Jadi kayak gitu-gitu. Setiap hari. Strain. Ya gitu, oke. Influx ya. Kayak, jadi ini kayak gini sampai aja. Perhatikan ya. Ini. Sampai ke bawah banget. My question, do you do the same? Do you study every day? I am now. I am a teacher. I am a lecturer. I am a PhD student. But I study every day. So you can see like how much effort that I make to prove that I am a long life learner. Segregate, agitate, ya, or whatever. Quandary. Jadi kalau misalnya, today I feel a bit, I am in a quandary. Kayak lagi dalam kebimbangan ya, bimbang, dilema atau apa, kan keren tuh. Contoh lagi, jadi ini tuh kosakatanya. Terus habis itu nanti saya buat lagi ini kayak essential note-nya. Ini itu yang kata-kata yang akademik yang bisa dipakai, misalnya de facto, de jure, care for, care about, apa bedanya, socioeconomic background, culture hegemony, cultural politics, alternative reality, atau augmented reality. Kayak gini tuh beda lagi disimpannya. Habis itu nanti Sar kalau on the way tinggal buka handphone, habis itu daripada nonton macam-macam mendingan review ini ya. Cultural capital. Misalnya penggunaan cultural capital ya gitu. Today we have a session with me and then I hope this can improve your cultural capital. Apa itu cultural capital? Cultural capital itu adalah ilmu pengetahuan, skill, atau pengalaman budaya yang kita miliki, yang diperoleh dari berbagai macam kesempatan. Entah itu kesempatan kita mendengarkan orang, entah itu kita berkunjung, entah itu kita bercerita, entah kita nonton, entah kita apa. It improves your cultural capital. Jadi pada saat saya menggunakan ini dalam berbicara, itu akan menunjukkan bahwa, oh ini orang kayaknya memang dia membaca atau dia apa, atau dia mengerti. Kayak gitu-gitu. Dan harus dicatat ya. Contoh, dan banyak ya, ini adalah salah satu yang share bisa inspire. Yang kedua, yang mau dimotivasinya itu adalah try to avoid being negative. Ya, sekarang di usianya Sar yang sudah sangat tua, Sar udah tua banget ya gitu kan. Yang harus dilakukan itu adalah nggak boleh emosi dikit pun, emosi apapun, ya gitu. Oke. Kalau emosi normal, for example, like you feel upset about something, kita bilang ih sejengkel itu. Habis itu jangan dibawa ke hati, cepat istighfar, ya gitu bagiannya. Dan itu akan membawa kepada kesehatan. Because your health can affect the way you learn. Jadi orang yang sering pedoko, orang yang sering marah, orang yang sedikit-sedikit sakit hati, yakin deh, nggak akan pernah sanggup mengingat materi dan nggak bisa belajar dengan maksimal. Karena ridha Allah tidak akan bersama orang yang seperti itu. Walaupun wajahnya senyum, kalau hatinya kurang bagus, itu nanti nggak bisa berkah. Apapun, entah itu mau disakiti orang, entah itu mau di apa, nggak perlu kita emosi. Yang ada itu adalah kita harus mencoba melihat Apa yang dilakukan orang ke kita untuk membalasnya dengan kebaikan gitu, oke? Terus apalagi yang saya share ya? Oh, ini yang terpenting. Jangan gampang terprovokasi dengan label kebaikan dan keburukan. Karena sebenarnya apa yang Anda berikan tentang label itu, misalnya, ih bagus itu karena kekurangan pengetahuan Anda. Ya gitu, oke. Seandainya Anda bisa menyelam sampai di bawah langit dan sampai langit ke-7, dan Anda sudah terbukti melakukannya, kita boleh menerima jawaban Anda. Ya, jadi mulai dari hari ini lihat orang bisa, ih cantiknya media, ih saya nggak suka dia begitu, pemerintah begini, yang itu jelek. Try to reduce it. Yang ada itu adalah yang kita lakukan itu, kita boleh berkomentar untuk memberikan perbaikan. Oh, pemerintah kayaknya melakukan ini. Kita nggak tahu alasannya ya. Mungkin kita lakukan gini aja yuk supaya nanti dia bisa mengimbang. So, protes itu bagus, tapi protes untuk pengembangan, bukan protes untuk menghasut orang lain agar mereka mengikuti Anda untuk membenci sesuatu. Ya gitu, nggak boleh. Apalagi ya yang bisa bagi. Tips yang berikutnya, Anda pasti tidak duga-duga kan? Bahwa katanya supaya mau pintar, olahraga tiap hari. Setiap hari olahraga itu kayak gimana? Harus angkat besi biar nanti perempuan-perempuannya ini yang berjilbab semua keluar-keluar. Pas kan kalau pakai jilbab tuh syar'i ya, nggak kelihatan. Pas nanti menikah suaminya pingsan. Berotot-berotot semua ini anak IAIN-nya. Karena diajari olahraga. Come on. Olahraga itu mulai dari olahraga muka, senyum Ki pagi-pagi. Terus habis itu sambil masak atau sambil mandi atau sambil apa, nggak usah ke lapangan kalau nggak bisa. Gerakan badannya minimal 5 menit. Apapun, entah itu lari dalam kamar atau apa. Try to, habituate that. Because your health sangat mempengaruhi kelancaran darah ke otak. Ingat, darah kalau tidak mengalir ke otak dengan baik, biar Miko bilang begini, iso capek saya belajar besa. Saya lupa terus menghafal, saya tidak bisa mengerti ini. Cek dulu darahnya, apakah darahnya mengalir dengan baik. Ya gitu, walaupun secara fisik Anda kelihatan sehat, tapi kesehatan Anda tidak akan pernah Anda yakin bahwa Anda sehat. Kalau Anda tidak pernah masuk dalam darah, ya gitu. Kalau darahnya Anda tidak yakin Anda masuk, maka kontrollah dari atas, ya gitu. You need to control your emosi sedikit mempengaruhi darah. Yang berikutnya, usahain jangan makan Indomie ya. Yang suka makan Indomie, please do not consume Indomie. Bagi yang suka makan pasti ini senyum-senyum kan? Aku saya bukan promosi makanan. No, Indomie itu boleh dimakan sekali sebulan. Kalau belum sanggup sekali seminggu. Kalau Anda sudah sangat hebat sih bisa 6 bulan sekali. Karena satu kali konsumsi Indomie itu bisa butuh puluhan bulan untuk menghilangkan efek negatif dari mie itu sendiri. Ya gitu. Sehat dong. Ya gitu kan. Karena kalau makan mie itu nanti belajarnya nanti nggak bagus. Ya gitu. Oke. Boleh jadi sukses. Tapi nanti dekat-dekat kalau sudah berhasil. Udah masuk rumah sakit. Akhirnya kasihannya nih orang-orang yang mau rindu sama kalian, yang memang bangga karena kalian hebat, tinggal mengurus sakitnya karena terlalu banyak konsumsi. Akhirnya nanti kalau menikah, pasangannya yang repot mengurus ini gara-gara Miko makan Indomie terus dulu. Apalagi kalau suami juga makan Indomie, istri makan Indomie, sama-sama sakit. Akhirnya siapa yang merawat? Biar burung aja, biar burung nanti yang rawat. Another things, tips yang terakhir, learning English, it's not about learning only English, vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar or whatever. English is only a tool. You must equip yourself with different range of knowledge. You need to read politics, you need to read economic, you need to read culture, you need to read everything. You need to watch, for example, Gaza and Israel and see like what's wrong, what's behind the scene and how you're going to act. You're going to provocate people to hate this group. You're going to exaggerate that this group is better than the other group. No. The case, they're not going to be inflamed if there's no issue behind it. So you don't need to trust what you are looking at, because now we are living in alternative reality. What does it mean, alternative reality? We are living the bias. Everything that we are watching, it contains double standard. And then double standard will bring you to negative judgment. Ya, jadi belajar dari belajar politik, tapi yang bahasa Inggris bacanya supaya nanti bisa lihat kosakata baru, baca macam-macam, tetap ngajar bahasa Inggris sehingga nanti bahasa Inggrisnya nanti bisa makin keren dan topik-topik yang dibawa dalam kelas bisa makin keren. Ya gitu, oke. Dan siswanya senang sama Anda semuanya. Alright. Salam sayang. Give us one quote reminder to encourage us to achieve our dreams. Quote-nya apa ya? Oke, ini quote-nya ya. Semoga bagus, aku pikirkan dulu. Within our full potential, half of that contains failures. So if you avoid failures, then you're not going to have your full potential. Within your full achievement, within your full dreams, they will have or more than have failures. And so a complete achievement if you recognize half of your failure. Ya, jadi kalau sir, itu aja sarannya. Orang yang selalu menunda untuk melakukan kebaikan karena takut salah, maka kebaikan yang diharapkan atau kepintaran yang diharapkan tidak bisa datang sesegera mungkin. Karena isi dari keberhasilan Anda untuk berbicara, untuk speaking, itu di dalamnya adalah setengah kegagalan, setengah ditertawai orang, setengah malu, setengah paksa. Jadi ketika Anda sudah menerima orang menghina Anda sudah menerima bahwa kesalahan itu adalah normal, gugup itu adalah normal, ketika itu sudah Anda rangkul dengan baik, you embrace it, maka keberhasilan akan segera menghampiri Anda. Ya. Jadi keberhasilan itu bukan sepenuhnya keberhasilan. Ya, sama dengan you can complete a day if you have half day and half night. Hari tidak akan pernah sempurna jika tidak ada kegelapan. Ya. Jadi sehari-hari itu akan sempurna jika ada malam setengah, jika ada siang setengah. Yang berikutnya Anda harus tahu, kalau akan Anda sempurna sebagai manusia jika Anda salah dan jika Anda benar. Jadi kalau Anda menghindar misalnya begini, maafkan Kak, salah tadi saya sakiti kok. Bilang saya begini, makasih nak kau berikan kesempurnaan hidupku berbuat kesalahan padamu. Kau terima ji tadi salahku. Saya akan perbaiki ji, jangan kau marah na iyo. Kenapa mau minta maaf? Memang kita ditakdirkan harus berbuat salah. Dan harus kita perbaiki. Toh? Karena kapan kita sudah menghindari kesalahan, yang ada kau tunggu kau jadi malaikat. Kalau kau jadi malaikat, maka hidupmu tidak indah. Karena malaikat tidak ada salahnya. Dia hanya surga doang. Ya gitu. Tidak ada yang iri sama kamu. Karena malaikat irihnya sama manusia. Kenapa? Karena setelah dia melakukan kesalahan, dia refleksi, berdoa, dan berhasil melewati kesalahan itu, itulah namanya kesuksesan. Jadi kesuksesan itu adalah bukan begini, sama speaking, tapi saya takut salah. Saya buat dulu nah, perbaiki dulu kata-kataku kasih benar. Ini enggak bisa kok begitu. Ya gitu enggak bisa. Jadi itu saya punya message untuk quote-nya ya. Iya ada tambahan quote lagi. Kenapa ini quote-ku makin banyak gara-gara pertanyaannya Indri ini. Bahasa Inggris itu seperti baju. Mau nanya ada berapa jenis baju di lemarinya sama jilbab? Satu kan? Enggak banyak. Kalau Anda menggunakan baju yang sama dari lahir sampai Anda mati, coba cium baunya. Pingsan tetangga 2 kilometer. Gitu. Dan Anda akan dibenci dan nggak akan menarik. Sama. Bahasa Inggris itu yang selalu mengatakan, saya susah belajar bahasa Inggris karena lain kat ada beda-beda maknanya. Ih, kok pakai baju? Emang kok baju sih kok pakai tiap hari kayak ini saya pakai ini, besok saya pakai apa lagi tapi tetap baju. Jadi kalau saya bilangnya I want to elevate my English. I want to develop my English. Okay? What else? I want to what do you call raise my English, my competence. Atau Anda bilangnya lagi I want to ameliorate my English. Ameliorate itu sama dengan meningkatkan lagi. I want to develop, I want to improve. Sama aja. Terus kalau Anda bilang, ih heran Pak dia ganti-ganti. Orang yang sering mengganti-ganti kata itu adalah orang yang banyak uangnya, suka beli baju. Gitu. Oke. Kalau kita suka beli baju, berarti nanti penampilannya kita juga menarik. Orang yang hanya menggunakan satu baju, jadi pilihannya apakah salah menggunakan satu baju dengan banyak baju? Nggak ada yang salah. Rasanya doang sama baunya. Orang bosen dengar kita. Gitu. Oke. Jadi tinggal decisionnya sama kita doang. Nggak usah dipermasalahin bahwa orang mengganti-ganti kata. Karena kata itu adalah hal yang keren, yang baik. Ya gitu. Artinya orang yang suka mengganti-ganti kata itu indikasinya dia dive. Dia dive and stay in different pond. Dia tinggal di berbagai macam kolam. Dari kolam ini dia tinggal sehingga dia merasakan berbagai macam suasana dan dia menjadikannya sebagai habit. Itulah yang membuatnya dia kaya. Ya gitu. Jadi sekali lagi terima kasih atas kesempatannya. It's a pleasure for me to meet you all dan saya sangat berharap bisa bertemu. Tapi kalau kalian selesai di 2000 berapa ya, kalian selesai 2005, mungkin kita nggak bisa ketemu ya gitu. Oke, tapi kalau yang nanti selesainya 2026, mungkin bisa ketemu dengan Sir ya gitu. Sir ingin sekali bersapa langsung karena Anda semua adalah artisku ya gitu. You are all my artist. Thank you very much for your love today. And thank you very much for your patient listening to me talking all the time. Sampai ketemu ya. Makasih banyak. Kalau nanti yang mau ikut kelas yang 1, saya ada setiap Selasa masuk ngajar speaking di kelas yang nggak tahu kelas apa. Tahu ngajar di situ. Anda boleh kalau lagi nggak ada kegiatan boleh ikutan aja. Ya gitu. Oke. Oke, then say goodbye dulu ya. Kita sudah foto nggak foto dulu dong. Yuk. Nanti kirimin saya ya hasil fotonya sih. Ya, senyum dulu dong. Siapa yang mau foto?
Saya, Sir.
Ya, kasih banyak-banyak ya.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
Slide kedua. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Ya, nanti kalau bagi di FB-nya jangan lupa tag saya dan cari mukaku yang agak sedikit bersinar ya. Please. Okay, bye-bye. I love you all. See you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, sir.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hug, 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 hug for you all. Right, saya close ya. Okay, bye. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.